Hi, everyone, and welcome to Insights in Caribbean Intellectual Property, the official podcast of the Caribbean and America's Intellectual Property Organization. I'm your host, Pete Manning, along with Lisa Foster. Today's topic is Building Governance, the Role of a Policy Architect. How about this? Imagine trying to build a house without an architect. You'd have bricks, wood, maybe even a blueprint, but no one to make sure it all fits together. That's essentially what governance in the Caribbean has been like without the concept of a policy architect.
That's such a vivid way to put it. And it really captures the essence of what this new term, policy architect, is trying to address. It's not just about having policies, it's about having someone who ensures those policies are part of a cohesive, well-designed system.
Exactly. The term was introduced in 2026 through two intergovernmental briefs by the Innis Institute for Digital Policy and Intellectual Property. These briefs were shared with CARICOM, the OECS, and the Caribbean Telecommunications Union. The idea was to fill a critical gap in governance, a role that focuses on the architecture of governance systems, not just the policies themselves.
And that's such an important distinction. Historically, the absence of this kind of role has led to fragmented policies and reactive governance. It's like trying to solve problems as they come up without ever addressing the underlying system that creates those problems in the first place.
Right? In the article we're discussing today, titled Brief Notes on CIS 26 and the Rise of the Policy Architect by Dr. Abiola Innis, talks about intellectual lineage and the integrity of Caribbean governance design. It really dives into the intellectual lineage of this concept. The term policy architect didn't just appear out of nowhere. It's rooted in a discipline called policy architecture, which draws from systems thinking, institutional design theory, and even cultural and historical contextualization.
And that cultural aspect is so crucial for the Caribbean. The state/craft framework, which underpins policy architecture, emphasizes the importance of creating governance systems that are culturally grounded and strategically sovereign. It's about designing systems that reflect the unique identity and needs of the region.
That's such a key point. The article argues that policy outcomes are only as strong as the conceptual foundations they're built on. Without a solid architecture, policies become fragmented and vulnerable to external influences. And for small states like those in the Caribbean, that vulnerability is even more pronounced.
Exactly. Small states face unique challenges: limited institutional capacity, dependence on imported regulatory models, and high exposure to external influences. These factors make it even more critical to ensure that governance systems are built on strong, coherent frameworks.
And that's where intellectual lineage comes into play. When policymakers understand the origins of a concept, they have access to the full framework that supports it. This ensures that the concept is applied in a way that's coherent and effective, rather than being reduced to a hollow buzzword.
And that's something the article really drives home. It uses the rise of the policy architect in CIS 26 as a case study to show how governance concepts can migrate into regional initiatives. On one hand, this shows that the region is open to innovation. On the other hand, it highlights the risks of adopting new terms without fully understanding their conceptual foundations.
And those risks are significant. When governance concepts migrate without their underlying frameworks, they can lose their original meaning and become little more than slogans. This weakens policy coherence and undermines the region's ability to design systems that are truly sovereign and effective.
And that's why intellectual lineage matters so much. It's not just about giving credit where it's due. It's about ensuring that the ideas being adopted are fully understood and properly applied. This is especially important for small states, where institutional memory is often thin and policy language is adopted without full contextual grounding.
That's such an important point. The article outlines how the Caribbean's governance vocabulary is often imported from external institutions, reactive rather than proactive, and fragmented across agencies. This creates a policy environment where new terms can be adopted without the frameworks that give them meaning.
And the term policy architect is a perfect example of this dynamic. Its rise in CIS 26 shows both the potential and the pitfalls of introducing new governance concepts. On one hand, it's a sign that the region is ready to embrace more sophisticated ideas. On the other hand, it exposes the need for a more disciplined approach to conceptual adoption.
So, what does that disciplined approach look like? The article proposes a framework for conceptual integrity in Caribbean governance. This includes traceability, ensuring every major governance concept has a clear intellectual origin. It also involves framework integration, institutional acknowledgement, scholarly engagement, and public transparency.
And these aren't just theoretical ideas. They're practical steps that can make a real difference in how governance systems are designed and implemented. For example, the CARICOM brief on safeguarding Caribbean culture and sovereignty in the age of AI is publicly accessible. This kind of transparency helps build trust and ensures that the conceptual origins of governance ideas are available for scrutiny.
It also encourages a culture of intellectual accountability. When policymakers and institutions acknowledge the sources of the concepts they use, it strengthens the integrity of the governance process. It's not just about avoiding plagiarism, it's about ensuring that the ideas being adopted are fully understood and properly applied.
And that brings us to the broader implications of this discussion. As the Caribbean navigates the complexities of digital transformation, it's clear that governance vocabulary will continue to evolve. The rise of the policy architect is just one example of how new terms and concepts can shape the region's governance landscape.
But for these terms to have a meaningful impact, they need to be grounded in coherent, traceable intellectual frameworks. This is not just a matter of academic rigor, it's a matter of governance integrity. By safeguarding conceptual origins and integrating new language with the frameworks that support it, the Caribbean can strengthen its capacity for sovereign design.
And that's the key takeaway, isn't it? Intellectual lineage isn't just about attribution. It's about building governance systems that are resilient, coherent, and capable of meeting the challenges of the digital age. It's about ensuring that the region's governance vocabulary is more than just words. It's a foundation for effective, sovereign governance.
Absolutely. And as we move forward, it will be fascinating to see how concepts like the policy architect continue to evolve and shape the region's governance landscape. It's a reminder that language matters, and so does the intellectual heritage behind it.
Well said. And with that, I think we've covered a lot of ground today. Thanks for diving into this with me. It's such an important and timely topic.
Thank you. It's been a great discussion, and I'm sure we'll have more to explore as this concept continues to develop. Thanks for joining us on this episode of Insights in Caribbean Intellectual Property. Please follow us wherever you listen to this podcast so that we can let you know when there's a new episode. If you listen to us on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and share. See you next time.